I've tested over 50 paddles this year, and there's only 2 I'd actually buy. And 1 I definitely wouldn't buy. Hey there guys, welcome back to Pickleball Paddle Reviews, and today I wanted to share my insight on testing 50 different paddles this year, plugging over 1,000 hours testing those paddles, and coming to a conclusion of what 2 paddles I'd actually buy if I had to actually buy my own paddles. Now, I hope this information does help you guys. It's mainly what I would do, but I'm gonna talk out why I made those decisions. I know I'm in a unique position where I get to test out a bunch of different paddles, all of the new technologies, all of the new paddle faces, all kinds of stuff to really dial in what I like. So hopefully from what I tell you guys about my reasoning for picking these 2 paddles, you'll kind of get an idea of what you guys would want. So just a quick preface, I'm also going to say right now, there are no foam paddles in this list. And for me, at least, I don't necessarily think foam paddles are ready. Also because I think for most players, around the 6-month to 1-year mark is around how long you'll play with your paddle, especially if you're an active player playing quite often. No matter what, even if it's super durable, you're probably going to be switching a paddle every 6 months to 12 months. So the durability is not that big of an issue. I don't necessarily think they're ready quite like Gen 3.5, like the technology has matured so much for Gen 3 that it is really dialed in. I mean, they still core crush, there's still some issues with Gen 3, but it's really just dialed in already because the first, second, and third gen pretty much used the same materials. Hopefully in the near future, I mean, just looking at the trajectory of foam, every company will be making a foam paddle in order to keep up with the market, and they'll be improving that technology. So hopefully we will be getting a foam paddle that will change us all over, and we'll finally have very durable pickleball paddles for everyone. I will give shout outs to some standout foam paddles like the Selkirk Boomstik, the brand Butter Loco, the Luzz, Inferno, and Tornazo, Quanta, and also the Vatic V-Sole. I thought those paddles were very good foam paddles. They all had a floating core, which was the main thing that all of them share. I think floating core foam was definitely a better product than the full foam core paddles that came out this year. They were fun, but they honestly just really lacked feedback, and they were kind of hard to play with. I think most players would enjoy those foam paddles over the full foam paddles. So if you are looking still to get foam, I would definitely recommend you go over that way. I will have links to all of those foam paddles down below that I do recommend if you do want to check them out. All right, so for the first choice of paddle, if I had to buy my own paddle, it's definitely a Luzz Cannon. So for the first choice of my paddle, I would definitely buy a Luzz Cannon. Super easy decision because it's $92, and honestly, every time I test a $200 plus paddle, I think to myself, is it better than a Luzz Cannon at $92? Even if it's not on sale, it's still a great deal. You're definitely gonna have a hard time finding any Gen 3 paddle that really beats this Gen 3 Luzz Cannon. I think the main standout of this paddle is that linear power level at the first 50% of swing. It's very easy to play with, to hit those touch shots, those soft shots and resets, and it gives you all that power you need for putaways. So because of that, I think most players can just really buy a Luzz Cannon and be happy with it, especially at the value proposition this paddle offers. It's $92 and it beats out some of the paddles that are $200 plus, even $280. Like you could buy 3 of these before you could even get close to a Yola Pro 4. Now, I'm not saying this is a perfect paddle. You could definitely tell that maybe they cheaped out on the handle or maybe some of the plastic. But if you're just looking at this paddle, it doesn't look bad. The only bad thing is right now it only has one shape, but very soon it will also have a hybrid shape called the glider. And so some of the problems with this paddle are going to diminish even more. And I think even more people will be switching over to this paddle because of how great the value is. Like, to me, I think most paddles don't actually beat out a Luzz Cannon, and especially at their price point. And even if they do beat the Luzz Cannon, they're just so much more expensive that it's not worth getting it. So to me, I think the Luzz Cannon is definitely a worthy pick of paddle that I would actually buy for myself. Now, next up is a paddle that came out much more recently, and that is the RPM Friction Pro. Now, the RPM Friction Pro share a lot of similarities with the Luzz Cannon, but it is a Gen 3.5 paddle instead of a Gen 3. The only difference being that they added extra nodules of foam towards the bottom and give it a little weight towards the bottom so that it feels a little bit more stable in your hands. Paddles that share this technology are the YOLO Pro 4, the Thrive Fury, and maybe some other paddles, but those are the ones that come to mind right now. Most importantly, this actually plays very well. This is probably the most linear curve power output of any paddle that I've played with this year. And because of that, it's very predictable, it's consistent, and it just plays very, very well. I've had the most fun playing with this paddle this year. I love the 14 millimeter, I love the 16 millimeter. Hopefully I get a wide body soon so I could test that out as well. The grit level on this is absolutely crazy. It's even more gritty than a Luzz Cannon. If you ever touched a Luzz's carbon face, you know that that thing is pretty gritty, and this is even more gritty than that. And for me, my paddle did end up heating up, so that power curve did spike up a little bit, but it still remains relatively linear. Like, every time I pick up this paddle, I feel very confident. I play very well. I feel like this paddle has enough touch and feeling to really make it stand out above even the YOLO Pro 4 and Thrive Fury. I think the combination of improvements made on this paddle, like, yeah, sure, everything is very similar to the YOLO Pro 4, to the Thrive Fury, but like, the combination of all of those improvements really make this head and shoulders above that competition. It feels like this paddle really got it dialed in, and it's much more consistent and playable than those paddles because of that. And in hand, it'll make you feel confident because you're getting a lot of power, you're getting that put away, and you're getting very linear power output, so you know exactly what you get when you hit the ball. And I think because of that, I would definitely set this as paddle of the year because of how consistent this paddle plays. Now, I did say there was one paddle I would not touch with a stick. Even if you gave me a discount that was super heavy, I would not buy this paddle. And that is the Selkirk Lux Infinigrit. This is not technically a super new paddle because, you know, Selkirk had this shape and this kind of paddle before, but they added the Infinigrit and made minor improvements. I would not buy this. This came out at $280, and there's so many paddles that are so much better than this at many different price points. Selkirk released a lot of great new paddles this year that are actually pretty good. And this was $280, and I thought it sucked. It really did not improve much from its previous iteration, besides adding Infinigrit. And even then, it was a $280 paddle when it was released. I can't believe like how poorly this played, and I definitely would never recommend this to anyone. I had started filming a review for this. I played the full 10 hours, and wow, I just couldn't even do it. I just didn't even want anybody to know about it and buy it. All right, thanks for watching this video, guys. Hopefully this video gave you guys a little bit of insight on how I would buy a paddle if I had to actually buy them. I think that the Luzz Cannon and the RPM Friction Pro are both very amazing paddles. There's a lot of amazing paddles that came out this year, but those two definitely stand out above the rest of the competition for me. And I know that foam is very exciting, but just for me, foam hasn't really reached the level to where I would make it my main paddle. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to check out any of the paddles that I mentioned in this video, I'll post those links down below, as well as any affiliate codes that I might have that bring down the price. I think the Luzz Cannon is always around $92, and then the RPM Friction Pro, there's sales depending on if it's a holiday or not, but my affiliate code gets you at least 15% off. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Peace.